Hey, bud, what'd you think, man? Let me know some things about what can we expect from you?
Fireworks.
Fireworks. You ready, bud?
That's the fight that everybody want to see.
Yeah.
I want to do it.
Do you respect him as like when he's like, I got a couple fights left, I'm at the end, I'm only trying to get mega fights, so
I understand.
Terence Crawford responded to Jaron Ennis's challenge for a fight at super middleweight for all of his belts, and surprisingly, he accepted. This was the most unexpected reaction from Crawford, since he had never shown interest in fighting Ennis before.
And like I said before, you know, that's my obligation in the contract, and I gotta honor that if, you know, that's the next move for me and my.
During an interview while preparing for his next fight, Ennis stated that he was willing to move up to super middleweight if it meant getting a title shot against Crawford. He also confirmed he was ready for a 2026 showdown. This mirrors Crawford's own path, moving from welterweight, taking one fight at 154, and then immediately jumping into the super middleweight division.
Terence Crawford against Jaron Ennis, for me, is the best fight in American boxing. But it needs to be a payday for Crawford that would get him interested, because Crawford knows how good Boots is. And I'm not saying that Crawford thinks he's going to lose to Boots, but he knows that is a real fight. But for me, Boots is the new Crawford.
Interestingly, just hours later, Terence Crawford held a victory parade in his hometown of Omaha. When asked about Jaron Ennis's challenge, Crawford didn't back down. He made it clear he was ready, sending a direct message to Ennis: if you really want the fight, do what's necessary. If it's at 168, then send the contract. I'll take it at 168, no question. Ennis's promoter, Eddie Hearn, backed this up, saying it was the best fight in boxing.
You know, without him, you know, really wanting to fight and putting forth the effort into doing what he can do along with me to get this fight done, we wouldn't be fighting. So it's only right that I give him that same, you know,
and I need, so after I do my thing, you know, Saturday night and be victorious, you know, I feel like it's only big name fights from here on out, you know, only main event headlines and pay-per-view headline, pay-per-view fighting. So that's my goal.
Your skill. Matchroom Boxing's head, Eddie Hearn, revealed that talks were already underway for a potential Crawford versus Ennis clash. Ennis, the former unified welterweight champion, is set to make his 154-pound debut on October 11th against Ismail Lima. To me, Crawford versus Ennis is the best fight in American boxing, Hearn told reporters on Wednesday. But it's got to be the right payday to get Crawford interested, because he knows how good Boots is. I'm not saying Crawford thinks he'll lose to him, but he knows this is a real fight. For me, Boots is the new Crawford. We just have to get him the right fights to prove how great he really is.
Fight that makes a whole lot of sense, and the fight that stylistically would be, oh my goodness, is a fight between Terence Crawford and Jaron Boots Ennis.
I don't think I think that's going backwards for Terence.
To that point, Jaron doesn't have the kind of accolades. He doesn't sell to the mass and all these. So this fight was perfect timing for both these guys.
During Crawford's post-fight press conference, the idea of facing Jaron Boots Ennis was brought up. At first, the 5-division champion shut it down, saying he wouldn't fight Ennis because he had no plans to return to junior middleweight. For the fight to happen, Ennis would have to meet him at another weight. The problem is Crawford only wants fights that bring in big money, said Eddie Hearn. And only a handful of fights can do that. Crawford is a different animal. His ring IQ is on another level. You need experience and schooling to compete with him. That's why I've always said the Boots fight is the one.
A roller coaster, but, you know, we made it to the top. No matter how we made it, you know, and, you know, it's definitely a test to say that anything is possible if you know, work hard at it and you believe in yourself and you have the faith.
Ennis's history with Crawford goes back years. He was once the IBF mandatory challenger for Crawford at 147. But after Crawford moved up, Ennis also made the leap to 154 last year, beating Israel Madrimov to claim the WBA title. That win saw him elevated from interim to full champion, and he later added the ring and WBA straps by stopping Mantis Stations in April. As he prepared for his fight with Lima, Ennis was also a key sparring partner for Canelo Alvarez, helping the Mexican superstar get ready for his showdown with Crawford.
But don't lie or kept to the net and make it seem like I had the opportunity to fight you and I didn't. I never did. You know what I'm saying? And then that one time that I did, we said they called and we said we never heard nothing else back about it. So
right.
I mean, I respect it though. I mean, get your money. You know what I'm saying? Do your thing. But don't be capping on the net.
But the intense training still wasn't enough for Canelo Alvarez. After his defeat, the Mexican star admitted that his body had failed him. Terence Crawford, meanwhile, delivered an incredible performance. "I'm gutted for Canelo," Eddie Hearn said. "But I'm actually happy for Crawford. He finally got the chance to show how great he really is. His resume never reflected his true ability. Don't get me wrong, he's had some great wins, but he could have beaten so many more elite fighters from his era. To do this at 38 years old is just remarkable."
Crawford Canelo fight. Were you surprised by the outcome?
It's boxing, anything happen.
No doubt. My other question for you is, with this win, everybody saying Crawford elevated his status. He's the GOAT. Do you think this win puts him on Mount Rushmore or makes him a GOAT in boxing?
Everybody got their own opinions.
Hearn went on to add, "We have a habit of retiring fighters too soon. This would be a great way for Crawford to go out. But honestly, I think he could still move down to 160 and win a world title there. That would make him a 6-division champion." Canelo Alvarez came into the fight desperate for victory, but Crawford simply didn't allow it. More than 70,000 fans packed Allegiant Stadium in Las Vegas, and over 41 million tuned in on Netflix, as Crawford earned a close but decisive win over Alvarez.
Park, South Philly.
Yeah.
All right, so they'll kill me if I don't ask you, right?
What?
Canelo Alvarez, Terence Crawford. Terence Crawford wins unanimous decision victory.
Yeah.
What was your thoughts on the fight?
I was trying to stay up. It was getting too late, yo. It was like, I think by the time they came on, it was probably 1 o'clock or something like that.
It was like 1 and some change.
I trained.
Among the millions who tuned in to watch Crawford versus Alvarez was Jaron Ennis. The 28-year-old from Philadelphia has repeatedly called out Crawford and is often compared to the future Hall of Famer. Just weeks before Alvarez wrapped up his training camp, Ennis had joined him as a sparring partner. That decision drew some heat. Many criticized Ennis for siding with Canelo over Crawford. But despite the backlash from boxing insiders, Ennis stood by his choice and had his own perspective on the experience.
We got a couple more days and y'all gonna see Canelo fighting Crawford, so I ain't got no comment on who gonna win the fight, you dig? If Crawford do what he's supposed to do, he got an option. If he don't beat Canelo. Simple as that.
When asked about his time in camp, Ennis explained that it was only his second time training outside of Philadelphia. Honestly, it was fun. Just being in there with Canelo, a guy with 67 fights, it was cool sharing the ring with him. I loved the experience. We sparred, we trained, we fished, and I spent time with my brother. I'm moving up in weight, and I just wanted to try something different. I loved it out there, Ennis said. On whether he enjoyed the overall camp, Ennis added, "Why not? When you get the chance to share the ring with Canelo, a Hall of Famer, a legend, the face of boxing, you take it." The sparring was great. I had a great time, and I loved every bit of being in there with Canelo.
Guy of that caliber?
Yeah, why not? Why not you be able to share the ring with, with Canelo and like I said, being there with a Hall of Famer, a legend, the face of, kind of like the face of boxing, why not?
Speaking on how his sparring sessions with Canelo went viral and how fans reacted, Ennis admitted he saw it coming. "I already knew it was going to blow up. As soon as we posted that picture, I was like, yeah, this is going everywhere. Honestly, it just makes the fight more interesting. More people will want to tune in. I really don't care about the backlash. I'm not going to lie. I went out there for myself. I wanted to start my camp with 2 weeks at elevation. This was for me, not for anybody else," Ennis explained.
I think Crawford's going to get the job done. I am officially picking Crawford to win this fight. It is still 50-50, but obviously...
Hey, says that till he goes to Canelo.
I'm obviously going to say that this is a 60-40 fight, and I have Crawford winning this fight. Crawford's going to win this fight doing something that nobody's done to Canelo.
This is going to help Canelo. He's sparring against a great fighter, world champion in Ennis, and like I said before, iron sharpens iron. And maybe it will. But on the other side, it was interesting to hear your side of how, whether it's the overtraining or I think more the mental side. What if Boots is getting the best of him? How does that affect Canelo going into this fight? Why would you want to even put that doubt in your fighter's head going into such a...
But not everyone thought it was a good idea. Legendary boxing analyst Teddy Atlas warned that bringing in a fighter like Ennis could actually backfire for Canelo. According to Atlas, hard sparring against someone as sharp and explosive as Ennis could end up wearing Alvarez down before his September 13th fight.
He's not me.
Yeah.
You know, as much as a lot of people, you know, say we have similarities and, you know, we switch a lot and we fight a lot. He's not me, you know, and I'm not him, so.
Yeah. Tim had said comparison that like he's like a Chrysler 300.
As both camps ramped up preparations, much of the spotlight turned to Canelo Alvarez's decision to spar with Jaron "Boots" Ennis. The idea was simple: train with an elite, switch-hitting fighter to sharpen Alvarez for the challenge of facing Terence Crawford. But not everyone was sold on the move.
And now, I think Boots brought the best out of Canelo. I don't know how many rounds they may have sparred, if it's true, but if it is true, I'm assuming that Boots may have brought the best out of Canelo Alvarez in that sparring. Showed him different looks, the switch hitting. I'm pretty sure they probably wanted Boots to, you know, emulate Crawford or just to be who.
My opinion is I like who I like. You know, I like Roy Jones, Floyd Mayweather, Bernard Whitaker. I'm liking Sugar Ray Leonard. I've been watching a little bit of Sugar Ray Leonard, James Tony. So they my top like guys that I've been watching.
I don't want him leaving it all in the gym, Teddy Atlas warned. You don't want to get into a war during sparring, especially with a guy who's already had 65 fights. If it were up to me, I'd pick spots for Canelo. Maybe 1 or 2 days to really push him, but nothing more. Not against someone that sharp. Atlas pointed out that while Crawford is older, Canelo has far more wear and tear on his body. Sparring hard with Ennis, he argued, only piles on more unnecessary rounds. The real question, according to Atlas, was whether Alvarez would show signs of fatigue once fight night arrived.
Many highly, put it this way, I'll get right to the point. I wouldn't want wars with my guy who's been in 65 fights or 60 whatever, and is at that, 34 years.
Never! Always. This is crazy, Chester. I just didn't want to see Chester. You got a Team Crawford shirt on, hoodie on, but you going against me? You going against me? What'd he say, Red?
I said don't get scared.
No. What'd he say?
He said you just want to see him lose.
Thank you.
Even with the help of an intense camp, Canelo Alvarez had few answers as Terence Crawford boxed brilliantly as a southpaw for all 12 rounds. While fighting Crawford remains his top goal, Jaron "Boots" Ennis couldn't help but salute the champion's performance. It was a good win. He accomplished a historic goal. Good win for him, Ennis told YSM Sports Media. It was a great fight for boxing. But after briefly playing the role of fan, Ennis quickly turned his focus back to his own career. The former unified welterweight titleist recently vacated his ring, WBA, and WBC belts and has now committed to making his mark at 154 pounds.
I trained twice that day. I was like, I'm gonna just try to stay up and not. The fight before that was...
And Billy Martinez.
I was watching like 1 or 2 rounds of that. They was going at it. So I wanted to falling asleep. I'm like, yo, I can't stay up no longer. I just wanted to fall asleep. But that was a great one for Crawford.
Ennis's first test at his new weight will come on October 11th, when he faces Ismael Lima at the Wells Fargo Center in Philadelphia. It's an opportunity to make a statement and potentially claim a secondary title in the process. I'm feeling great, Ennis said. It's almost time. I'm ready to put on a show. Expect a dominant performance and a beautiful knockout.